Good day. Today's video is a follow-up from a class in crime theory that I had, mostly getting students used to looking at crime data for themselves and some of the tools available online, primarily through the FBI or some government agency. With that, when I started making this video, and I've made it a couple times now, and I've just deleted it, I noticed some issues and some that no longer exist in terms of data access than before. One of the big ones that has been updated is Kaplan's crime data tool that would pull crime counts and the population informed rates. He updated his website, and that's no longer publicly available. With that, the one that I went over in class, and as the more I got through it, the more issues I had with it, but it's the FBI's Crime Data Explorer itself. So I'm going to just pull up Google Crime Data Explorer. And I'm going to click on the second one because I know the first link is a dead link. With that, though, the FBI does take a lot of data and tries to make a dashboard that is usable. And I'm going to go over the one issue with it that I had when I was going through this. But for those of you not familiar, FBI is collecting our NIBRS-based data. You can see here, there's about 11,794 agencies that reported NIBRS data in 2021. That's not all 12 months, though, either. So some data over the calendar year of 2021. Not all agencies. There's just about 19,000 agencies now, and not the whole population coverage either. You can hover over and see how that changes across state. But for our purposes, let's just go into the Crime Data Explorer specifically. And I was asking students to find a specific agency and identify the crime count and then the rate, and discuss the differences between crime counts and rates across 3 different sites. So 3 different cities across the US. You can pick any federal law or any law enforcement agency. Just make comparisons and then discuss what that difference means in terms of counts versus rates. Here's where I notice the first issue. So I'm going to pick a random agent, not so random, but an agency in Arkansas. And I'm going to do Fayetteville since U of A is located in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So is the University of Arkansas. So we have our own different police force for the campus. So that's why we have 2 options here. We want the city and not the university college. And we'll come back to that here in a second. The interesting part before I hit enter there and click on it, as we scroll down, we have the ability to see here the counts, which is nice. This is actually the rates. This is actually the good part, which I wanted to show. We can see at the state level what our violent crime rates are by year. This is 2020, so we know for 2020 in Arkansas, the violent crime rate is 671, so it's just about 672 violent crime offenses per 100,000 people. Similarly, I was expecting this to be available based on population that is known across agencies, because it is reported, and it's even available through Census ACS on the side. With that, though, if I go down to a smaller unit, so agency level, and I were to click on the city here, it now takes away the ability to look at crime rates, and you're only stuck with crime counts. And it's not a terrible thing. It just adds more steps to it. So as violent crime as a whole, I know there were 556 violent crimes reported in calendar year of 2021 for Fayetteville Police Department. That's great, but now I want the rate. So it would take me, I would have to Google the population, calculate that separately. So it is a pain that it's not available with that. So it made me think, well, I know BJS also put out Leercat, which is another law enforcement website that will display data for you, everything with that. So Leercat is another crime tool, that dashboard that will visualize data for you, and it's loading here. Again, same NIBRS data across 2021. The issue that I found when I was going through this at the same time, if I click on Arkansas, it's going to focus in my geography filter now for one specific state. After that, if I want to go to Fayetteville, again, that's in Washington County, so I know that. You can already see the participating agency part shouldn't be over 100%, so that's an issue. But if I click on this, there's no smaller unit after that, so I can't select out a local jurisdiction, a college university, the county itself. It only filters down to a geography, which is good. It's a difference, but there's still an issue there of I can't look at agencies within this specific county. So as I scroll down, it's still limited based on those few geography filters, Arkansas and then the county itself. But I can't choose an agency within Washington County. It gives me good information at the county level. Keep in mind, take it with a grain of salt, because this might not be all the data, and it gives you some tabulations or some links to other methodology for it. What I found to be the most helpful and I've done this one for years, NIBRS 2021 map, is just going to the FBI's NIBRS map. When I say this, I bring this up in class to just show the visualization side of where we're still missing a lot of our federally reported crime data. So all agencies report to the FBI. We have some gaps in some states that don't really report at all. That just zoomed too far in. So you can see Florida doesn't really have much. California doesn't have much at all. But for Arkansas, it is supposed to be a NIBRS compliant state to where all agencies are supposed to report that in. Doesn't always work out that way. But I zoom in on Fayetteville here, and I'm just coming in. We have two different agencies, and not shocking if you look at the legend down here. The orange is for the University or college. So if I were to hover over and click it, it will bring up U of A Fayetteville, where we're at now, the student population here. But what I'm really interested in is the other one for Fayetteville City, so the city police department. What I originally asked in the homework assignment was to look at the violent crime rates. Yes, they could combine all these. I'm going to update the homework assignment, so if you're a student listening to this, it's going to be ag assault. But now it's on you to now calculate the crime rate versus it just being available like it has been in a lot of other packages before or different levels. I thought it would be available. It's not a huge lift when you have that information that's publicly available. This population is actually a bit lower than our 2020 census, but still a good starting point to pull from. So part of the assignment is to understand the difference between rates and counts. So we know our population here is 91,000. We also have about, if we look at ag assaults, 425. If we just scroll up to Springdale, we see here that the population's smaller, and we see ag assaults go down a bit too, but the rate could be higher or lower. That's where we can calculate and make comparisons based on just law enforcement agencies that way. The rates allow us a metric to do that. So if I'm interested in the ag assault rate per, let's say 10,000 at this point, if I open up my calculator, what I end up doing now to understand that rate is I would take my 425 offenses, so these are my ag assaults, divide by the population reported here, the 91,309, and to make it that metric by 10,000, I'm going to multiply this now by 10,000. So there's 40, and I'm going to round up here, there's about 47 aggravated assaults per 10,000 people living in Fayetteville. That allows us to then make a comparison. So this one's about 47. Now if I scroll up here, and come into Springdale, I can do the same calculation and see what that one is. Now I'm going to open up my calculator again. And this time we have 314 divided by 85,234, the population. Again, we're going to multiply this by 10,000 to get our metric. So here we have about 37 aggravated assaults per 10,000 residents people here. So Fayetteville has a greater population, but also a higher ag assault rate per 10,000 residents than in Springdale. So you have that metric there to where you can compare. With that, from homework, I recommended doing it this way. I'll update the lovely assignment because when we get into the FBI's Crime Data Explorer, you could take it this way and calculate the same amount. And if I changed it here to say aggravated assault, hopefully the number is line up 425. So that is at least a positive sign. But then you would have to go Google the population and then do it yourself. Within the Leercat system itself, you cannot do it based on agency at quick glance. Honestly, the map is the easiest part. The information's here. You just plug and play on the calculator and you're good to go. For the homework assignment, remember you have to do 3 different agencies and then just discuss the difference between counts and rates. If there's any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks. Bye.